goal on this is to average about 750 yards per hour. So when you look at that, 750 yards per hour, that is 50 dump truck loads an hour.
You know, I've worked with a lot of communities up and down the coast for a community this size. They have been about the most proactive of any town I've ever worked with. To look back, and you go back not only through this set of commissioners, but the ones before them, and go back into the early 2000s when they first started setting up their beach fund and putting aside a little bit of their ad valorem tax then. What that did 10 years ago, or even further back, I guess it's almost 15, because that would be back closer to 2000. When they started doing that, what that's done for their program now is phenomenal. It gave them a base to work off. It made it so they didn't have to go to the banks in 2011. Because of what they did and the planning they did, they didn't have to go to the banks in 2012 because FEMA gave them the grants. And over that time, coming up into 2014, 2015, their ad valorem and what they were putting away allowed them to have enough money to not go to the bank again on this project. So to do 3 beach renourishment projects in a town that has approximately 1,500 properties without ever going to the bank is absolutely amazing. I mean, you look at it and you're talking over $20 million of construction over a 5-year period. And for a town like this size to do that, I mean, the forethought to be able to plan for that, absolutely phenomenal. In 2011, the town did their first beach renourishment project. It was designed as an interim project waiting on the Corps of Engineers Coastal Storm Damage Reduction Project. It was something to do while that project was being going through the authorization process with the Corps of Engineers and with Congress. In order to qualify for FEMA funding, should something happen in the interim, they had to put together a 30-year beach management plan, which would say the core project doesn't come along, they would continue to manage the beach, and that would keep them eligible for funding. August of 2011, we got hit by Hurricane Irene. Right after that happened. And because of that, and because the town had done everything they'd done the beach renourishment project, they'd put the management plan together. When FEMA came in and was doing assistance and grants, much like they've done for Hurricane Sandy, the town qualified for a grant, a little over $6 million. So in 2012, we did part of the nourishment, the very northern end that was hit the most. We did maintenance dredging in the Corps of Engineers channels down here by the inlet, put that sand up at the north end. We put 860,000 yards of sand on the beach, over 26,000 feet, so we nourished right at 5 miles of beach in front of the town, the whole developed area from the very southern tip all the way up to town line. And in doing so, we also improved the navigation channels behind Topsail Beach, which is the main inlet going offshore, which we dredged to 16 feet. We also dredged Topsail Creek to between 12 and 14 feet, going back to the Intercoastal Waterway to add access for the rest of Pender County. And then we dredged some of the channels that come in behind the island here in Banks Channel, specifically in the commercial and residential areas. So we provided navigation to homes that had not had it before. Where the Corps of Engineers has maintained that channel to 8 feet and 150 feet wide. At 8 feet, when they dredge it down to 8 feet, well, it only takes a foot or two, and then all of a sudden you've got 6 feet, and now boats in the 30 to 40 foot class are bumping bottom and having issues. So what we did was we actually dredged the channel 150 feet wide, down to 16 feet, and allowed 2 foot of additional dredging for the contractor that he could get paid for, so that he would get at least 16 feet. And they dredged that full amount of sand out of the inlet, and what that does is it gives us capacity that now we can shoal up to 8 to 10 feet of sand can come into the inlet before we actually have a navigation issue. We don't intend to maintain it for boats that are able to draw 10, 12 feet. That's not the intent. What we're trying to do is continue to maintain it where we've been, but give ourselves more time between dredging operations and actually get the maintenance dredging in the inlet on cycle with the nourishment needs on the beach. So if you get enough capacity within the inlet to hold approximately 1 million yards of sand, the beach erodes, historically has eroded at about 250,000 yards a year, up and down the whole length. So if we can get the storage capacity in the inlet, because that's where the sand's going, to match up with the erosion rate on the beach, now we've got a recycling system. And we got excellent quality material out of that, and we got a really beautiful beach out of it.
You know, one of the takeaways that I bring to our visit today and really underscored by the trip out to the dredge. The fact that if you just add a little common sense to things, it really saves a whole lot of money.
It does.
You know, to be able to dredge and then use that sand to get it on the beaches versus dredging and just putting it over to the side and letting it shoal right back on in, it really makes a lot more sense.